Hi. I'm fine. I've said before that I struggled to communicate in these appointments, so I wrote down what I wanted to say because if I don't explain it the way that I want to explain it, I won't be able to explain it to you. So you probably hear all the time that antipsychotics dull the experience of life. In my opinion, it's because I couldn't handle having theory of mind. So at a certain age, reality collapsed into this self-referential structure where everything was connected to me in order to stabilize the overwhelming dynamics of the real world around me. And this is what created the symptoms. There's a term for this called double bookkeeping, where you essentially live in two worlds, the delusion world and the shared social world. And so I do feel trapped between these two structures, but mainly in delusion world where everything connects back to me, but I can still feel the world beyond it where I used to exist before it collapsed. And this makes it very disorienting to interact with the world. So the expressive nature of reality is what creates the delusions, but also everything else. So when I first increased the antipsychotic, it brought me to the real world and I can organize myself and interact with people much better because I wasn't as trapped. But after a month of the higher dose, maybe the dopamine blockade was too much and it dulled all the same parts of reality that create the symptoms, but also the salience and meaning of life. So when I lowered it back down, I got that access to the social world again, but then it was overtaken again by the same aspects that warp into delusions. So this warping happens, and then I start getting delusions where God is communicating with me through everything and where I feel like I'm being controlled by outside forces to hurt myself. Another example is I heard a noise in my apartment. Reality suddenly formed this aura, which convinced my brain I had already seen these events in a vision of the future and someone was coming in to kill me. So basically, I'm split between two worlds because I'm always aware while this is happening. One where everything is a message or threat connected to me versus the real world where people exist and I can actually feel them as individual people, and I can sort of access the real world through various practices I'm learning to use. So the delusions might not be as intense anymore, and I have insight now, but the baseline developmental structural issue is still the same. So if a new medication could give me this clarity and orientation to reality without dulling the same conceptual pre-reflective cognition that creates reality, I would be very interested in that. And this is what the electroconvulsive therapy made so much worse because it just disconnected the whole structure of how I perceive the world. So I'm fine. Some days are really good, some are really bad. It gets especially bad before my period. That's when I felt like I was being controlled by a deity. Yeah, so I don't think I really want to try the new medication yet. I don't want to be one of the first people on it, but I do just want to let you know that I'm interested in it. And besides that, I don't think I want to change anything.